Okay, folks, so what we've done here is an addition to this video from when we first recorded them, and the reason is that we've made the side doors of the garden an additional option, and that come about because a lot of people installing them were not actually able to open the side doors because it might have been up against a fence or something like that. So this video here, the beginning part's going to cover fitting the ends of the garden if you haven't ordered the side doors, and later in the video, which you can scroll through to, will cover the fitting of the side doors if you chose that as an additional option when you made the purchase. So with regards to fitting the ends of the garden, you'll have here in your flat pack some sheets pre-cut and pre-drilled of the polycarb. And a couple of things with it is that you just want to make sure you get the orientation of it correctly or correct. And at the moment I'm holding this showing you the outside of the polycarb, and I tell that because the ends of the polycarb, left and right, they fold back down, which is going to be in towards your garden. So for argument's sake, if I flip that around, these ends are now hooked up, and that's the wrong way around. So having those ends facing down, and we've also written on the polycarb what end of the garden this is going to be fitted to. That'll be the correct orientation. So you do have, for each end, there'll be two pieces. There's the piece I'm currently holding here, and then the one that's cut on the angle to take the shape of your garden. And again, that's been written on as well to show what end you want to fit that to. And they will overlap when we fit them onto the end of the garden. Okay, so once I've got the polycarb at the correct end of the garden, I just tend to get them in place ready to go. As I mentioned, we would have written on the polycarb for you right hand or left hand. That's just a whiteboard marker, so that you will be able to rub that off at the end. That will also actually be on the outside of the polycarb just to help with that orientation we spoke about. Once you've got it ready to go, what you'll need is the step required, which has the screws and the dome washers in there to actually fit the polycarb, and also in that flat pack the square drive to actually obviously fit those screws onto the garden. So once you've got all that ready to go, this is where the person helping you will be able to come in and give you a hand. Okay, so once you've got it in place, get someone helping you to come along. And as I mentioned earlier, the polycarb will overlap on one run, and you want to lift that up into place and get the first two screws in. So we'll do that now. So the other thing, just as we're about to lift this into place, is that the overlap that you have of the polycarb between the two sheets, that overlap is actually going to line up on the vertical piece of timber here. That's where your first couple of screws are going to go into. So that'll just help with a bit of guidance and orientation. So we'll lift that into place now. Once you've got that into place, just get your first screw. It's going to go through the two sheets of polycarb, and which are pre-drilled, and screw that off. Pretty easy. Don't be scared of this polycarb. It's incredibly strong. It's got a lot of flexibility in it. And once you've got the top screw in, I tend to go down and line up the bottom. Once you've got those two screws in, your overlap will run straight down the vertical piece of timber here, and that's actually in place enough for one person to now go finish that off. So what I'll do is just run through finishing and screwing that off. What I tend to do is put a screw into each corner from this point on, and that just holds it in place. And then just the fifth screw, put that down in the corner here, And that now holds it all into place while you go and finish screwing the garden off, which we'll do now. Right, so a couple of things to note. You'll put the screws basically into every second run. There are also halfway down, there's a screw on each side as well. And then once you've done that, as I said, you can rub off, which we would have written on for you, the orientation of that polycarb. And that's the fitting of the ends of the garden. And you'll do exactly the same at the other end. If you've got the side doors as an option, as I mentioned, that's further on in this video and you can watch that. Okay, so we're up to the step now where we're going to actually hang the side doors. So one for each end of the garden, obviously. Now the doors can only actually go one way, so they're not pre-labelled in that regard. They take up the shape of the canopy, and the spine of the door has some pre-drilled holes in it, which we are going to line up with the hinges, which are all pre-mounted for you. So in the bag for this step is the screws to do it. And if you get your helper to come in, what I tend to do is make sure the hinges are out, ready to go, and simply lift the door up and pull the door back towards the hinge, both top and bottom. Get your helper to take the weight of the door, and what you want to do while you're standing here is literally pull it back towards you, but also manipulate the door up and down to align the pre-drilled holes. And grab the screws out of the appropriate bag for the step, and then put the top screw into each hinge, and that'll now take the load of the door. So once you've got the screw in each hinge, simply go through and just fit the other screws. And round the front, which we've already pre-mounted for you, what we have there is the side door hinge, which is pre-mounted for you, just to hold that door securely closed. Once you've done one door, simply do exactly the same at the other end. And that's the completion of step 10, the fitting of the side doors.